So you're probably one of those MBA students who has understood that there is much more to MBA beyond just fun and excitement. You need to rise above the common level for you to achieve things which you really want to achieve. And you know that the key to all of that is to manage your time really well. These 2 years of your MBA are very crucial. The reason for that is because after your MBA, either you are going to be extremely happy and satisfied about how you spent your years in your MBA, or you are going to be really frustrated that I wish I could have done much more than what I was able to do. In this video, I will be sharing with you that how do you manage your time as an MBA student so that you can get the most out of it, and what are the various things which you need to do. Hi, I am Darpan Saxena, an MBA from IIM Udaipur, and let's get on with the video. So I've been one of those MBA students who realized it very soon that there's something wrong with how I'm operating my day, and that I need to find a schedule. I need to probably create a schedule for myself in order for me to truly maximize the kind of outcomes I can have from my MBA program. And from my MBA days, I have been able to figure out that what are the things that I should do and how should I schedule all of those things so that I am able to get a wholesome experience from my MBA. And it had especially struck me when I was in the first year of my MBA and I had started my blog, Super Heuristics. And after starting the blog, whenever I had to create the articles for it, I used to think about that how should I find the optimum time for me to work on the articles as well as work on the various things which I need to do in my MBA. And from there, when I went to my second year at the IIM, I realized that we as MBA students have got so much time on our hands. We've got so much time that if we are able to practically compartmentalize all the things which we are able to do, then we can make very good for ourselves. We can make a lot of good outcomes for ourselves. So whatever I've learned in my journey of MBA while creating Super Heuristics, I will be sharing it with you in this video. However, what I realize is that I might not be able to explain all the things well in this one video, and hence probably I'll be explaining the same idea in a few more subsequent videos after this. So it could very well be a 2 or a 3 part video. Now, to start it off, the first thing which I must address is that if you're a first year student, and especially if you're in the first 5 months of your MBA, then forget about optimizing your day. Forget about it, and probably this video is not for you. If you're a first year student who's within the first 5 months of your MBA program and you've not had your placements as yet, then this video might not be for you. In fact, I would go ahead and advise you that you should not think so much about optimizing your hours. Why do I say that? The reason is, when you're in the first year, especially in your first 4 or 5 months, your time and your hours, they do not belong to you. They belong to the institution and to some extent also to your seniors. Why? Because it is during these first few months that you'll be having a lot of things which are extremely new to you. So for example, you'll still be figuring out that how do the classes happen, when do they happen, what exactly are the surprise quizzes and when can they happen. And for example, very important that you'll be having all of your club and committee inductions within these 4 or 5 months as well. And also because your first big milestone would be right in front of you, which is the summer placements, you'd be having a lot of activities which will be organized either by various clubs or by your academic body at the B school. So hence, the first 4 or 5 months for you, they will be absolute chaos, and you will for sure not be able to really control the things which you do. Hence, do not take any load on you. If you're a first year student in the first 4 or 5 months of your MBA, forget about this and just go with the flow, and I'm sure that you will truly enjoy these first few initial months. So now let's come to the real part of the video, wherein I will be sharing with you that if you have moved ahead of that phase and now you are in the second half of your first year, or if you are in your second year of MBA, what all are the things and how do you need to structure your day in order to optimize it, and how do you manage your time? Now, when we talk about time, one thing you need to have absolute clarity about is that when you make the time for something, you need to have clarity about what do you want to do in those hours. So if suppose you are not having any clarity about what are the outcomes which you want to achieve, what is your goal after your MBA, then I'm sorry, this entire time management exercise is going to be a failure for you. You first need to set out a goal, that what do I want from my MBA, and only then, only when you have a goal from your MBA, that what are the outcomes which you want, only then you will be able to plan your day effectively, so that each day you are progressing one step ahead towards your goal. So for example, when I was my first year student, I had envisioned my life around my blog. I had started my blog Super Heuristics, and I wanted this blog to be that one asset to which I can commit my entire life to. And hence each day I used to work around that how do I prioritize all the things which I do for the blog, be it writing the content or maintaining and planning about the blog, all of those things. So I had this goal in my head, that what do I optimize my day for. So for you, it could be a similar project of yours. If you are a student from my 5 steps ahead program, then you would know that you will have a project which will be your focus area, and with the help of that project you will not only be able to create a similar asset for yourself, however it will also improve the outcomes in your on-campus and off-campus placements. So once you have the understanding of what do you want to fill your day with, you need to see the entire exercise of managing your time at 3 levels. What are these 3 levels of time management? The first one is availability. When I'm talking about availability, what I am trying to say is that in your 24 hours, out of all of those hours which you have in your day, how do you find those hours which are available to you for you to fill it with the kind of things which you want to do? So you know as an MBA student that not all the hours are entirely in your control. For example, if you're an MBA student, you will be having classes, you will be having submissions and the assignments and a lot of other such activities which you will not be able to ignore. So from that, the first objective for you is that how do you plan and strategize that I can maximize the number of hours I have for my own self. So that is availability. The second level of time management is utilization, which means what? I have made available the hours I wanted. In the first step, I have made the availability of the hours. Now when I know that okay, each day I'll be having at least 4 hours which I know are completely in my hands, now my next problem is that how do I fill those 4 hours and what am I doing in each of those 4 hours? That is how do I utilize the time which I have made available for myself. And the third point, the third level at which you need to think about when you are thinking about time management is the productivity. Which means what? Which means that now that I have also understood that in my available hours what exactly is the thing which I will do, in the third step I need to start to think about that whatever I do in that hour, how do I increase my productivity so that the outcome can improve or can increase. Now once you start to see these things at these 3 different levels, you will make it simpler for you, because what happens is that we as MBAs, we try to optimize all these 3 things at one go. What we always attempt to do is that on one go we are like that okay, we need to be super productive and we need to have the exact outcomes which we want from the day. It will not happen at one go. You need to break this down into these 3 stages, and then you will realize how simple it will be for you to solve this problem of how do you manage your time. So always solve one problem at a time. Do not go head on with these 3 problems together. Solve it at one level at one time. So in this video, I will be speaking to you about only the first two levels, which is availability, that when will I do, and utilization, which means what will I do on that time. And the third step and some of the other aspects of time management, I will cover them in one of my future videos, which I will link somewhere over here. So let's talk about availability, which is the first problem which you need to chase. Forget about everything else. Forget about how much outcome which you can have. Forget about everything else. Just take one problem at a time and we'll solve the first problem of availability of hours. And I will be sharing a lot of these things with my examples so that you can actually understand. So for me, the first thing which I had to do is, which I've always and already advised you, is that you need to have a goal of what you need to do after your MBA. For that, I realized that for me, my goal is that I need to find the hours in which I can do my blogging. I can build super heuristics to what it is now and to something great in the future. And hence I had the exact clarity that why do I want to have my free hours? Because I want to work on my blog. Same way, think about why do you want to have your free hours, and then whenever you'll have those free hours, what exactly will you do in those free hours? Now, to solve the problem of availability, the first thing which I will do is that I will open my calendar and I will mark all of those hours which I know are not belonging to me, which means I have absolutely no control over those hours. For example, I know that from 9 o'clock till about 1 o'clock I'll be having my classes every day. Hence, those hours are not something which I can plan for in advance because I know that I have no control over those hours. Same way, you can mark out some of the hours for the various assignments and the pre-reads which you have to do each day for the classes on the next day. You need to have these hours already blocked for yourself and you cannot do anything. Now, in the hours which you are free, you will be having certain hours for which you know that what you have to do. However, those hours are still flexible and some of those hours are not regular. So for example, if you'll be having a surprise quiz at your B school, you know that the surprise quiz, it usually happens sometime around 3 o'clock. However, I am not sure that on which day it will happen. So for such variable hours, you need to plan those things with which you can be flexible. And I would be speaking about this in my next step, where I'll be speaking about how do you fill your hours and how do you utilize your hours. In the same way, you can be flexible with your food hours, say for example the lunch or the snacks. However, since you would be somebody who's in a hostel, probably even those hours are fairly constrained. Like for example, you need to have your lunch between 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. after which it will not be available to you. So what you have to do is that the first step was that you need to completely block out those hours which you know are not in your control at all. And in the second step, you need to be aware of which are the variable hours and you need to plan for when will you have your food and when will you do something else which you know are variable. Now, once you've created a calendar of this sort, you will have a clear view as to how many hours you have in a day in which you are awake, and out of those hours, how many hours are there which are not in your hands, and what are the hours in which you can do the things which you want to do. So for example, if you realize that there are about 7 hours in a day wherein you have no control over those hours, and apart from those hours you have around 3 hours wherein you have complete control, and all the remaining hours are the variable hours where you may or may not have some engagement. So now your objective is that how do I find additional hours to increase that 3-hour span which I have for my own self. So long story short, in the same way, you need to find out that what hours work for you, from where can you snatch the hours, from where can you protect your hours and create a pool of hours each day which you have for your own self. That is the first problem which you have to solve. Do not think about anything else in this first step. The only thing which you need to do is how do you protect your hours and how can you maximize the hours which you have for yourself. So from there, I would move to the second part, which is a very interesting one, and I'm sure that you will have a lot of breakthrough insights in this part, which is how do you utilize the hours which you have in your hands. And if you are able to understand this concept, I can guarantee you it will change the way you look at your hours, because it changed the way I started to see how I should work. Now, for you to understand that what do you need to do when, one very simple thing about time management which you need to understand is that it is basically about how do you manage your energy. I'm sure you would have already heard about this, or even if you have not, you must know that the key to effective time management is that how well can you understand what is your energy like, and how can you choose the work which you do in that particular hour as per what your energy in that particular hour is. Because at the end of the day, you and I know that not in every hour of the day your energy is the same as it was, say, in the first hour of the day. So we need to be smart enough that, okay, what is my energy level at that hour, and how can I smartly do the kind of work in that hour which suits that kind of energy and time level. Now, if you have not yet understood it, I'll explain you how do you compartmentalize it. So whatever are the various things which you have to do, you need to compartmentalize them into 4 categories, and these 4 are as per how much time is required to do all of those activities and how much energy is required for you while you do those activities. So for example, these 4 compartments are low time and low energy, low time and high energy, high time and low energy, and high time and high energy. What I'm effectively saying is that how much time and how much energy you require to do a particular task. So for example, if for a particular thing you want to be in a state of high energy and high time, then that task is going to be compartmentalized in the high category. When you think about energy, I want you to think about it as one form of energy only, which is that how are you feeling, how do you feel about that work at that particular hour. So now when you know that what are the available hours which you have from the first step, and now you know that how do you compartmentalize all the work which you have into the 4 compartments of HL, HH, LH and LL, you should be able to find out that, okay, at what hour, what kind of work will I be able to do. So I would help you with another example of this. For example, if you were to ask me how would I compartmentalize all my work in my day into these 4 categories, here is how I would have done it. So for me, working out and doing yoga is an essential part of the day, and it should be also for you if you're an MBA student. Now, workout is something which requires very high energy. However, you can do it in like half an hour as well, or you could probably go for a jog for 20 odd minutes. Hence, for me, workout is a low on time, however high on energy kind of a work. So I would do my workouts only on those hours when I know that I might not be having a lot of time, however I feel energized, and that would be the perfect combination of which hour and which work I need to do. Another example is that we as MBA students, we always have to do a lot of case reads, and for me, since as an MBA student I also used to do my blog, I also had to find the time wherein I can research for all the articles which I will be writing for that week. And research is also the same thing, that you need to go ahead and read a lot of content for you to actually understand it well. Now, these are the kind of activities, the activity of reading something, which I can comfortably do even when I am on my bed. Hence, these are those activities in which my energy level, it can be low. However, for me to read a good long case, I need to spend a lot of time on it. Hence, these activities I would always compartmentalize them as those activities which require high time input. However, it can also happen with low energy input. So for me, it is an HL. And say for example, if I am a student who feels very sleepy after a classroom, I know that after my class I can simply go ahead and lie down on my bed and I can just read a case comfortably. Hence I would have utilized those hours as per exactly how do I feel, as per exactly how much time I have and how much energy I have, and I would have used it to do something which requires the same kind of time and the same kind of energy as well. And finally, I will be sharing a few examples of high, which means activities which need high amount of time input as well as high amount of energy input. For example, you as MBA students, you have to do a lot of assignments, you need to create a lot of PPTs, you need to be engaged in a lot of activities for your clubs and for your committees. Now, all of these activities are which you need to be actively involved in them, and you cannot do it while you're sleeping in your bed. Hence, these are all the activities for which you need a high amount of energy. Also, these are the activities for which you need to spend at least an hour or 2 or 3 hours of your day. Hence, they also require you to have a high amount of time input. So for me, all such activities wherein I need to be at my table, or when I need to be outside of my room and I need to be actively involved with other friends of mine, they are high or HH activities. And hence I would find that I would do all of these activities in those hours wherein I feel very high on time and wherein I feel high on energy. So these were some of the examples of how you can compartmentalize all your work into these 3 or 4 categories, so that you can eventually do these activities on those particular hours wherein you feel the same way as these categories are. And I can say it with a lot of surety that even if you are able to solve these 2 problems for you, that one, how do you make the hours available, which is the availability problem, and second, how do you utilize those hours using this understanding of how you feel in those hours, I feel that you will be far ahead of a lot of other MBA students who are struggling to find the time to do the things, and even if they have the hours, they are not utilizing those hours in the right kind of way. So I hope you have understood these 2 aspects of it. I would be really happy if you could go ahead and comment on the video that what have you really understood from it, and how would you compartmentalize all the activities which you do into HH, HL or LH or LL. I would be eager to see your comments on this. Stay tuned for one of my upcoming videos wherein I will be sharing with you that how do you solve the 3rd step of productivity. Thank you so much. Goodbye.